just give it a few more minutes. So still a few minutes ahead of the start time, but you can see some people entering the room now. I'm just going to put a link to the notes. Actually, Julie, I see you're in the room. Would you mind? I've just put a link to the slides in the chat. And are you able to maybe copy that and paste it for people who are joining a little bit later? That'd be great. Hey, Hervé. Good to have you here. Good.
Sure.
So we're just, thanks, Julie. So we'll give it a few more minutes. I think we've got a few more people we're expecting. I think about 50 people have registered, so we'll just give it a few more minutes. Hey, Anthony.
Hello.
Oh, welcome everyone. We will just give it a few more minutes. We're still a little bit ahead of the start time of 1 o'clock, so we'll give people just a few more minutes to join. So, hey everyone. I'm amazed at how prompt everybody's being. Everybody's joining well ahead of schedule, which is great. We do still have just about 2 minutes still to go before we're supposed to start, so we'll give people a bit more time to join. So you do have 2 minutes if you want to grab a quick coffee. I'm seeing some familiar faces and some new faces, which is great. Perfect. And it's nice to see people introducing themselves in the chat, so that's great too. Okay. Well, I think it is 1 o'clock by my calculations now. So I think we'll just go ahead and make a start, and other people will join as they come in. So I'll share my screen. So yeah, first of all, welcome everyone. Hopefully you're all here for the right reason. Today's webinar is just to give you an introduction to the third and final open call for cascading grants that are being run through the Fair Impact Project. So we expect today's session to last about an hour at the most, only about half an hour of me talking, then a little bit of time for some questions and answers. But essentially today is just to give you the introduction to the open call and a flavor of some of the actions you can apply to join. Some housekeeping. Oh, my computer is a bit slow. So just a reminder, you probably already have seen this, but we are recording this and you've probably had to click that you accept this. If you don't want to be on camera, just keep your camera off and use the chat. But otherwise, if you're happy to be recorded, you're free to unmute, put your camera on when we have the questions and answers. So we'll leave that up to you. As we've done with previous sessions, the recording of today's session will go on the website because we know some people have registered who won't be able to join us today for the live session and will want to catch up with the recording. I wanted to go with the standard introduction to the Fair Impact Project. So for those of you who have already heard this before, apologies, but hopefully for some of those who are joining who maybe don't know about the Fair Impact Project, we are funded by the European Commission. We're one of the Infra EOSC projects, and we've been running now for 2 years, actually a little bit more than 2 years. We've got about 9 months left in the project. We finish up in May 2025. And what we are really meant to do is to be a coordination and support action. And this is one of the instruments that the Commission uses to help support people to make changes. We're a large project, 28 partners, as you can see. We've got lots of member states involved and quite a few of us from the UK. I'm actually based in the UK, so my name is Joy Davidson. I'm Associate Director of the Digital Curation Center, and I lead Work Package 2 in the project. And I just wanted to give you the kind of in a nutshell view of what Fair Impact is trying to do. So as a coordination and support action, we're really just trying to help people to take some sort of action. In our case, what we're trying to do is to help realize the FAIR European Open Science Cloud vision, and doing that by supporting the implementation of FAIR enabling practices. We're trying to do this at a range of different levels. We're working with research performing organizations. We're working at the national level, particularly with EOSC mandated organizations, but we're also working at the more kind of practical side. So those kind of research data repositories and other data service providers are a key stakeholder for us as well. We've spent a little bit of time trying to look at current and emerging tools and solutions and try and help people to make use of those. And a key aspect of this is the support programs that we'll be delivering. I wanted to just give you a flavor of the support we've been offering through the project. We have 3 basic approaches to delivering support in the project. We've called them routes 1, 2, and 3. Route 1 is where we have in-kind guidance and support. So we've been working with a cohort of national level initiatives, repositories, and data service providers, and also research performing organizations over a 9-month period to give them some dedicated guidance and one-to-one support to develop their implementation action plans. Route 2, which is the route you've joined to hear about today, which is financial support. So through cascading grants, we give you a little bit of time and some financial support to test specific tools, approaches, and solutions. And the third route is just through a series of free and open FAIR implementation workshops. And these are all virtual, so they're there for anyone to attend, and there are recordings of each of these as well. So as I mentioned, you're here today to learn about our Route 2 support, the financial support, and this is our 3rd and final open call for this kind of support. And in this current open call, we have 4 support actions that you can apply to join, and each of these is really designed to help improve the FAIR enabling capacity of, in this case, repositories and data service providers and managers of semantic artifact catalogs. So for the next few minutes, what I will do is just give you a brief introduction to each of the support actions. We have some of the support providers on the call today, so feel free to add anything if you think I've left anything out. It is meant to be a high-level overview today. We will have a more in-depth drop-in session next month for people who want to ask really technical or specific questions. But as we go along, please feel free to put any questions in the chat or to raise your hand. We will have some time at the end of the session to go for Q&A, so we'll try to run through everything more or less before we open up the mic to questions. But if there is anything that's burning, feel free to raise your hand as we go along or put something in the chat. So I'll run through each of the 4 in succession and give you the brief high-level introduction to what each of these is trying to do. So the first support action we have in this open call is managing data types, schemas, and vocabularies and crosswalks. And in this support action, the successful applicants will be introduced to 3 components that have recently been developed through the FAIR Core for EOSC project, which is a sister project to FAIR Impact. The 3 components that you'll be testing in the support action are the data type registry, and this allows for machine actionable standardization and enrichment of metadata schema. And the next service that they're offering is the vocabulary service. And this enables the creation, curation, and distribution of controlled vocabularies. And the third component that they will be allowing you to test is their metadata schema and crosswalk registry. And this is really to support interoperability between catalogs and different information systems. So in this particular support action, the participants will be invited to make use of one or hopefully more than one of these tools. as they go through to try and enhance the machine actionability of their existing schemas and crosswalk specifications. So who is this particular support action targeted to? In this case, we're really looking for those people who are repository managers, service providers, but it could also be data stewards and people who have a sort of more general data officer role at their organization or institution. So it's a little bit more broad, this one. But there are some specific skills you will need to participate. You have to have a fairly sound understanding of the metadata models that you'll be working with. So there is, as we said, you'll be working to enhance existing metadata models. So you'll need to have something that you're planning to work with and have a good understanding about it. Knowledge of working with APIs is definitely a plus in this one, but also a basic understanding of research data management. So in this particular support action, there's 6 virtual workshops that you'll be able to take part in. And these are, again, usually between 2 hours to half day at the most, sometimes a little bit less. Each of these is your chance to come together with the support providers to learn about the components and also to get some guidance and some tips on making use of them, but also a chance for you to engage with your peers and to share your experiences. So there will be 6 virtual workshops in this one. They will all take place between mid-January and April 2025. There are indicative dates at the moment on the website, and these will be fleshed out with actual dates as soon as we have them pinned down. But just to give you a sense, they will all run between January and April 2025. You'll be working with a mixture of FAIRcore for EOSC mentors that you can see in the slide, and also some support from Fair Impact. So it's a joint offering that we're providing here, and you'll get some support from both teams. For this particular support action, we will be providing 5,000 euros to successful individuals or teams, and we envisage allowing up to about 5 teams to take part in this support action. So if you want to learn more about that, you can follow the link to that particular link and find out some more details there. The second of our 4 support actions for this particular open call is to create EOSC compliant interoperability possibilities based on the EOSC interoperability framework. And in this particular support action, applicants will be introduced to some interoperability guidelines that are being produced through the Fair Impact project. These are a work in progress at the moment, and you will be getting to work with the draft set of recommendations that are coming through the project as if you are taking part in this one. In addition to having access to those guidelines, what you'll be doing in this particular support action is making use of the FAIRcore for EOSC compliance assessment tool, which has been developed primarily to look at persistent identifier policies, but we are looking at it in this case to see how it can be used to assess interoperability policies as well. So you'll be making use of that tool to carry out a self-assessment of your particular service to get a sense of the current interoperability status of your own service. The aim on this is really that you will be able to identify some steps that you can take to improve the overall interoperability of your service by taking part in the support action. So for this particular support action, you really do have to be a data service provider. You have to be able to come and bring a service with you. So this is who we're looking for in this particular support action. And also you have to have a fairly good understanding about semantic interoperability. Familiarity, obviously, with the EOSC interoperability framework would be ideal as well. The person you'll be working with on this is Esteban Gonzalez from UPM and the Fair Impact team. And again, we would be giving you 5,000 euros, and this would go to each successful applicant, either individual or team. And we would expect to fund up to 5 individuals or team in this particular support action. Again, there will be a series of virtual workshops in this support action, as with all of them. In this case, we're looking at 3 virtual workshops, and again, they will run between January and April 2025. The third support action that we will be opening up for you to apply to join is to test the trustworthy and fair enabling repositories prototype. And this is something that is being developed currently within the Fair Impact project. So it's a work in progress again. And it builds on some previous work that we've done in the project around guidelines for repositories and registries on exposing information about the trustworthiness and fair enabling capacity of their services. So it's in some ways a follow-on to a support action that we just delivered about 3 weeks ago. I think we had our final workshop for that particular support action. But in this case, it is just about testing the prototype that we're developing. In this case, we are really looking for repositories to come in and make use of this prototype. For those to take part effectively, you would have to have both the technical skills, but also the authority to implement metadata changes. So it's important to make sure that you fit that bill if you want to take part in this one. You would also have to have sufficient developer resources to provide a test instance of your repository service and to expose the metadata via JSON LD. So we would also anticipate that you need some familiarity with the Research Data Alliance common descriptive attributes of research data repositories to take part in this one. You'll be taking part in 4 virtual workshops in this case, and they again will run between January and April 2025. And the people you'll be working with in this particular support action are a range of mentors coming from DANS, from KIT, from the University of Bremen, and UKDS. Again, this one is offering up to 5,000 euros to the successful applicants to take part. And you will be, again, supporting up to about 5 teams to take part in this one. And the final support action that we have for this open call is implementing a shared API for semantic catalogs. And in this action, what we'll be getting participants to do is to implement an API that has been developed in Fair Impact based on previous output that we developed, which was a metadata for ontology description and publication specification. This API is intending to promote interoperability and to enhance access to semantic artifact catalogs. And I think in this case, we probably need to be clear. And if you look at the website, we do provide some definitions. By semantic artifact catalogs, we mean advanced web applications offering harmonized, rich metadata descriptions of semantic artifacts, but also hosting and providing access to the content of these artifacts as well. So that is an important thing to take note of if you're interested in this one. So who would be the right person to take part in this? It would be the people who manage or maintain semantic artifact catalogs. And we've included some examples here. It could be ontology repositories or vocabulary and terminology services. I think in this one it's pretty crucial to make clear that if you are taking part in this, the applicants must be able to write and deploy an interface to their semantic artifact catalog. So you have to have that kind of authority again to be able to do something in that respect. The skills needed will be again quite technical. So we need people who are experienced in semantic web technologies, have experience in implementing RESTful APIs, and have some familiarity with ontology management and catalog operations. For this particular support action, you'll be working with a range of mentors coming from STFC, from NRAE, CNRS, and UPM. So we have quite a broad range of mentors in this one. This one is a slightly higher amount of money that we're providing just because of the amount of work that might be needed to take part. We're offering 8,000 euros. And again, this will be for taking part in 3 virtual workshops between January and April 2025. So that's a quick run through of the 4 support actions that you can apply to join. What I wanted to do now is just give a little bit of what we'll be providing just to let you know what you're letting yourself in for. So you will, as I mentioned, if you're successful in joining one of these, you will have a series of virtual workshops. Again, they can range anywhere from 90 minutes to a half day. Generally, they don't run any longer than that, but you can expect to spend at least, between 3 to 6 half days doing these virtual workshops. You can check each support action to get an idea of the exact number. And as I said, the dates will be added to these pages as they're confirmed. You will also have access to some guidance and support from the mentor teams that I've introduced. It's important to be clear here that you're not going to get, dedicated one-to-one hand-holding throughout the whole process. These support actions are intended for people who are a little bit more advanced on their FAIR enabling journey. What you will get are the contact points through the virtual workshops, but also we generally set up office hours so that there's a dedicated point every 2 weeks or so where people can come together for an hour and ask any questions. So it's important to kind of manage expectations on how much support you can expect if you're taking part in this. So you will get some, but you won't get, on-demand hand-holding throughout the whole thing. You will also get to help shape these emerging tools, because quite a lot of what we're hoping to get is your feedback on how they might be adapted or improved. And you'll get to feed into the draft recommendations and guidelines so that you can inform the next iterations of these. I mentioned the financial support. The amount that we're giving you is based on a basic day rate. We have worked out how many days we would anticipate are required for you to take part. That includes your participation in the virtual workshops. And you can see the amount that's offered for each of the support actions. But as I mentioned, in this case, they all range between 5,000 and 8,000 euros. And I think that the other thing that's probably worth making clear here is that you will get a chance to learn with your peers. So a lot of these tools, as I mentioned, are new. They're emerging. And as we're going through this, it's very much learning by doing. So you'll get a chance to learn from others about what they're doing and hopefully gain some useful knowledge through your participation. What do we expect from you if you're taking part? The main thing is really that we want people to be engaged. So there is an expectation that you or somebody from your team will join each of the virtual workshops. We know that sometimes the timing can't work for everyone, and in those cases, we'll do our best, but hopefully those who sign up to take part will be available, excuse me, to take part in all of the virtual workshops. Excuse me. There is an expectation that you will work independently. So as I mentioned, we estimate the number of days that we expect you'll need to commit to taking part. And much of this has to be done independently. So you'll have the virtual workshops, the drop-in sessions with the mentors through office hours. But in between that, you are expected to do some work independently. And the money is really there to help justify you spending some time doing this. We do also want to make sure that the right people apply to take part. So as part of your application, you will have to confirm that you have the right technical knowledge or skills as outlined in each of the calls, just to make sure that it's going to be useful for you and that you're not coming to this and finding out that you don't have the right skills. So we will ask you to confirm that. And then at the end of the support action, there is a requirement that you have to take part in an exit interview and to co-author a FAIR implementation story. This is a very short, 2 to 3 page story, but it helps to share the experiences that you've had so that other people who haven't received financial support can benefit from your experience if they're looking to take part in trying any of these tools or approaches. So that's basically what we expect from you. Who's eligible to apply? It's important to know here that it's open to individuals, groups, and organizations. So you don't necessarily have to apply as an organization. You can apply in an individual capacity, but you'll have to make clear how your participation will benefit maybe more than just you. We're looking to try and get some good impact from these, but it is open to individuals. Quite broad ranging. I mean, we've mentioned quite specifically, we're looking for people in this set of actions who are working with repositories and data services, but these can be offered at different levels. They might be those offered from research performing organizations and infrastructures,
They could be dedicated repositories, and they may also be run at the national level. So it's quite broad in that respect. You must work and or reside in an EU or associated country for the duration of the support program. And it's important to note here that the UK is eligible as well to apply. We do have some frequently asked questions, just in case you have any things that maybe we haven't picked up on here. So if you want to take a look at those, you can take a look. I think one thing I will specify here is that we do have a maximum amount of money that we can provide to applicants. So there's a €10,000 limit for any single applicant or organization applying. So that means if you have received support from us in the past and you apply to take part in one of the new ones, the maximum you can receive is 10,000. So if you took part in something before and received maybe 4,000, the maximum you could get in any future support action would be 6,000. So that is how we work it. It's just to make sure that we have a relatively fair distribution of the funds across different organizations. So take a look at the frequently asked questions. If you have any technical issues in the first instance, but we can also answer any questions that you have in our Q&A session that's coming up. So the actual process of making your application, and I guess it's important to note here that the platform is just being prepared now, so you can go and familiarize yourself with the open call support actions. The platform will be open to accept your applications at the end of this week. So by Friday, the 11th of October, you'll be able to start putting your applications in. But essentially, from each of the support action pages, you will be able to click a link that says start my application, and you'll come to a screen that looks like this. And essentially, then you just work through a fairly, we try to be quite conservative in the amount of information we're asking for you to complete. It's a set of a fairly short set of questions, but you do have to